Welcome back to the Atheist Experience. We are live. It is currently November 20-something.
Made me turn my cell phone off. I could have looked it up.
Sorry, folks. It's Sunday, the last 23rd, something like that. We don't even know.
Doesn't matter.
So, but it's Sunday, and this is the Atheist Experience. We're live again for another hour and a half of Godless television on your Sunday afternoon. We are being sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings every Sunday at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street. That's between Guadalupe and Lavaca. And those start around 10:30 and typically go until it closes, which is at, I'm sorry, the meetings start at 10:30 and shop closes at 12:30 and usually go after that. Other things that we do, also on Monday nights, we have Godless Gamers, which is held at Russell's house, which is, he is the webmaster of our website, so if you just write to the website, you can get to him there. And it's every Monday night starting at 7 o'clock, and we just play board games, card games, role-playing games, anything that people happen to bring. It's a lot of fun, usually a pretty good turnout lately. In addition to that, we also have every Thursday night a happy hour, Atheist Happy Hour, which is at Antonio's Tex-Mex on the southbound feeder road of I-35, just south of 183. That starts around 7:30 or so, but people trickle in all night, so just go in there, ask for the Atheist table, or look for the table with somebody's probably going to be wearing a Jesus-free T-shirt, or they'll have some Darwin fish on the table. That'll be us. Also on Saturdays, there is the Non-Prophets, which is our weekly or bi-weekly internet radio show. It's hosted by atheistnetwork.com, and that's every other Saturday from 2 to 3:30. Now, they just had a show yesterday, which I believe is up at our website, so the next show will be in 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from yesterday. And if you go to, again, our website, atheist-community.org, and click on the radio show page, the Non-Prophets, you can download the last half dozen episodes or so. And that's basically just an hour and a half of news analysis with an atheist perspective on it. It's an excellent show. We also have University Atheists and Agnostics, which is a group started up on the college campus. That's been going now for about 3 or 4 semesters. Kind of winding down for this semester, but you can still email them and get in touch. They have meetings every Friday at 4 o'clock. It's on your screen. Garrison 200. And if you want to see the website, get in touch with them. It's studentorgs.utexas.edu/UAA. And again, that's a good group that's going strong. So it's been going for a while now. Okay, that is it. Ooh, announcements. One last one. Not next Sunday, 2 weeks from now, on the December 7th, we are having, we meet normally on Sundays, we meet at the Bagel Shop. The first Sunday of the month, though, we have a lecture series at the Austin History Center on 9th and Guadalupe. The next one's going to be Sunday, December 7th. And the lecturer is going to be Professor Robert Solomon, and he will be talking about philosophy, spirituality, and atheism. And that's going to start promptly at 12:30. He's going to be a little bit rushed. He's got flights to catch, but he's going to be there for about 2 hours or so, giving a lecture, taking questions, and that type of thing. So should be very interesting, and we're all looking forward to that one. That's it for our normal announcements. Also, just today, a new version of our newsletter came out. Thank you, Jill Ford, for putting those together, and it's got some good stuff in there. Okay, and that is pretty much it for the news. As I said, welcome back to the Atheist Experience. I'm Ashley Perrien, your host. This is Arlo Pignotti, our co-host for today. You have been gone for a long time.
Yeah, but I've been here in spirit. I've been writing for the Atheist newsletter some things, and not in this edition, but just taking a little break. Okay. I'll probably get back to that.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thanks for having me co-host again.
All right, we're going to be going to news in just a minute. There's one more quick thing I wanted to go over from last week. We had a one caller call in, Don, and he was saying that most scientists out there are still Christian or theists of some kind or another, saying, that the percentage was, way up there. And so if all these scientists are Christians, well, maybe there's something to it. Well, after a little bit of looking into that, we found a little bit. Here's a little paragraph that I found. Our chosen group of greater scientists were members of the National Academy of Sciences. Our survey found near universal rejection of the transcendent by NAS natural scientists. Disbelief in God and immortality among NAS biological scientists was 65% and 69%, respectively, and among NAS physical scientists, it was in the 79 and 76. Most of the rest were agnostics on both issues, and with a few believers. The highest percentage of belief among NAS mathematicians, 14% believe in God, 15% in immortality. Biological sciences had the lowest rate of belief, only 5% in God and 7% in immortality. Wow. So, as far as quality, high-ranking scientists believing in God and the afterlife and immortality and Jesus and whatever, not very high. Typically, less than 10, 20%, especially when you start getting into biological sciences, where, like, say, evolution really takes over because, it's the foundation of everything that we have in biology. And, like, say, only 5.5% believe in God there. So in terms of all these scientists believing in God, it just ain't happening. But that's up from last week. Okay, that is it for announcements and old news. Over to Arlo for today's news.
Not too much going on in the week, but a few things that are notable. I found this one article titled, Book Paints Portrait of the Spiritual Bush, and I thought this was very revealing. Let me just read a few excerpts from this. When he was offered the opportunity to write The Faith of George W. Bush, author Stephen Mansfield saw it as a chance to delve below the spiritual sound bites familiar to many. Quote, I really have always thought the George W. story needed to be told more fully than he was a drunk and then he went for a walk on the beach with Billy Graham, Mansfield said in an interview. Mansfield says an even larger force than Graham is religious broadcaster and fellow Texan James Robinson, with whom Bush prayed on the set of his Life Today program during the presidential campaign. Robinson says in an interview in the book that Bush revealed his sense of calling to the presidency to him, quote, I can't explain it, but I sense my country is going to need me, Bush said, according to Robinson. Something is going to happen, and at that time, my country is going to need me. I know it won't be easy on me or my family, but God wants me to do it.
Ooh, the foreshadowing there.
Yeah, so this was before September 11th, this quote. And so he's just decided he's going to take action on something before knowing what it is. Exactly. He just kind of decided that. And then this comes along.
Exactly.
And there's not much clear thinking there.
Yeah, something's coming up, so I'm going to go in there and get empowered just in case.
The author said, he is a man of faith feeling his way along the dimly lit path of religiously responsible politics, Mansfield writes. Great.
Yes, let's not light the light of knowledge on this, shall we?
It's a very dimly lit path that Bush is on. He's feeling his way through it. Yes, that's very accurate. His book quotes Bush speaking to some religious leaders about how he overcame his drinking problem. Quote, right now I should be in a bar in Texas, not the Oval Office, he said. There is only one reason that I am in the Oval Office and not in a bar. I found faith. I found God. I am here because of the power of prayer.
And you can get free booze if you're president, probably.
It's great he's not in a bar right now, but I think it'd be healthier for the country if he was. He really wants to hear God say, well done, said Mansfield. I think that's really what's driving him personally. Yeah.
So he is blindly following down the dimly lit path of religion instead of drinking in a bar somewhere. This was an article that came out just recently, but these are all quotes and everything from before he was in presidency.
Yeah.
Youch. That's not the kind of person that we should be hiring as president. There's someone who should be looking into the issues, finding out the facts, and deciding things on that. Faith is not a good thing to base a country on. So,
absolutely not. Some craziness abroad. 13 churches torched by Islamic militants in Nigeria.
Ooh.
Islamic militants burnt to the ground 13 churches and several houses in a remote northern Nigerian town after a Christian student was accused of blasphemy. And they don't explain what the blasphemy was.
So
whatever it was, that's no way to react to it.
Some kind of random comment.
The violence came after 3 students were killed and more than 30 injured in fighting between Muslims and Christians at a university in northeastern city of Maiduguri earlier this month. More than 5,000 people have been killed in religious violence in northern Nigeria in the past 4 years since the introduction of Islamic Sharia law in 12 states. Bringing in the Islamic Sharia law causes more death and chaos and total mayhem.
Apparently,
how about that?
geez. Yeah, that is one country that is just really not doing all that well. All those Nigerian scam letters and nothing else. And apparently, if you actually pick up on those scams and you get fully into it, they actually, tell you to come down to our country. We need your help here. Mm-hmm. And apparently, there have been people like you, been shot and killed and just left in the ditches or something like that. Now, how true that is, I don't know. But yeah, speaking of that, actually, those Nigerian scams, everybody gets them in the mail.
Yeah.
Everybody I know has known that they're bunk from, day one.
Right.
But there was an article of somebody, this was a couple months back, who was working in a law firm. They got one of these, believed it, and they embezzled like $2 million from the company before getting caught. But they sent $2 million to this Nigerian guy or something like that to try and, funnel their $20 million US out of the country. And finally, they caught on to it, found out what she was doing, and put a stop to that. But, yow.
Sheesh.
Gave $2 million.
Maybe some Nigerians are really persuasive, or some Americans
Apparently.
are really dumb. Massachusetts court strikes down gay marriage ban.
Ah, yes.
Massachusetts highest court ruled Tuesday that same-sex couples are legally entitled to wed under the state constitution, but stopped short of allowing marriage licenses to be issued to the couples who challenged the law. The Massachusetts question will now return to the legislature, which already is considering a constitutional amendment that would legally define marriage as a union between one man and one woman. The state's powerful Speaker of the House, Tom Perrien of Boston, has endorsed this proposal. A similar initiative, launched by citizens, was defeated by legislature last year on a procedural vote.
Okay.
So they're probably going to get far again.
Yeah, and I know that the religious right is currently having fits over this, just in general. They're from what I understand, this is going to be a major issue in the next year with the upcoming elections and everything. And it's really going to be something that they're going to be hammering on. And there was even a post to our email list. Somebody collected some posts from a Usenet group, and it was all just, all these homosexual judges up there, they just want to, rule out the family in this country. And
they're saying the judges are homosexual?
Yeah. I don't know. It was really wacky, but like I said, it just sounds like a whole bunch of rednecks down there, right? Nothing but right on the internet.
Oh, I'm hoping they're a minority in that part of the country.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping that they're just, the vocal minority.
Right.
So
it's often the case.
Yeah.
Houses of worship okay in shopping plazas. Council members on Wednesday approved a controversial law allowing houses of worship to operate in shopping centers and plazas. Previously, town codes banned temples and churches in business zones. I say it's an appropriate place for them. I don't know why they would have ever had that banned in the first place.
Yeah, they're selling eternal life. So.
Right.
Hey.
Under the new law passed on a 4-1 vote, storefront houses of worship cannot occupy more than 25% of a shopping center. Okay. You go to Big Lots, then go to Quiznos, then get yourself redeemed at the church, and then... if more than 25% of a shopping plaza became Christian churches, the competition, I would think, would hurt them, and then it'd cause a natural balance. I see no reason to have any laws regulating any of this, but I thought that was kind of funny. Okay, well, I was going to talk a little bit about In God We Trust, the origin of In God We Trust. Okay. on our money. And we've mentioned the motto being added in 1954. It's about 50 years ago, around the time of McCarthyism, when communism was misassociated with atheism, not to mention under God was added to our pledge that same year. And if the camera can zoom in on this here, I have a Godless dollar bill, to be precise, a Federal Reserve note. It's a pre-1954. And as you can see, it does not say, "In God We Trust," on there. But this is just a federal banknote. The motto was on our coins before then. But even the motto on coins was added in 1864, almost 100 years after the founding of our nation. But just how did that happen? With the Civil War underway in 1861, Baptist minister Mark R. Watkinson was convinced that the war was a consequence of our national shame in disowning God by failing to recognize him on our coinage. That's a quote. National shame in disowning God. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's something that people have been, shouting now and since then, and I assume even before 1861 as well.
We can't stamp God on our coinage, then God doesn't exist.
But the Civil War being due to lack of God on our money, that bizarre logic was all it took to stamp the religious motto on our coins. Now, how precious it would be to have a coin without the motto. Well, I have this. Let's see if I can balance this here without it rolling away.
Ah, there we go.
It is a Godless Silver Liberty. That's a $10 mint.
No, we're trying to get that off of the bills.
Hey!
That's better.
What's the matter with you? I think some Christians have infiltrated our studio there. And I'll get back to that coin in a moment. The first proposed motto for the coins after the Civil War was God, Liberty, Law. It's a triple contradiction, in my opinion. George Wallace's pastor, George W. Zanister, recited a sermon titled, "Our Duty in the Present Crisis." The gist of the sermon is apparent in the following excerpt, quote, "Our immense armies, our ironclad ships, and our vast resources will accomplish nothing unless God, who giveth the victory, is on our side. We must invoke his presence, for in his hands is the issue." Well, I mean, if that's what it comes down to, why the immense armies and ironclad ships at all? Why not just send out one guy with a club and he'll defeat the Confederates?
One guy with a dollar bill saying, "In God we trust."
I mean, it's in the Bible.
Off the evil.
Much like Samson defeating 3,000 Philistines with the donkey jawbone.
Exactly.
He probably just had, "In God we trust" tattooed on his forehead. I mean, that's what it all comes down to, right? But the Confederate South also invoked God. The KKK does this today. Hitler tried to do this too. The Nazi motto was Gott mit uns, God with us. They put that all over everything.
Wow.
Even on their uniforms. The Nazis had belts that said Gott mit uns, the SS.
So is God taking sides in these fights?
Yeah, he's taking everybody's side, it seems. And of course, the Nazis lost. Their mottos didn't make Hitler and his Nazis any more right. That would be mysticism, and that mysticism, unfortunately, continues today. All right, so what's this piece of silver I have here? I'm thinking this may be a unique solution to our currency misrepresenting us godless atheists and agnostics. See, federal currency must have a God motto to be legal tender. But this is a private currency. And most people don't know it, but private currency is perfectly legal. I've used private currency for a couple of months now, and about 5 out of 6 businesses accept it.
Really?
This is a silver-based currency. U.S. currency used to be silver-based, but as of 1965, when God was added to the bill, they removed another phrase, which is on the other side of this bill, saying this bill is redeemable in silver.
Yeah.
So I'd rather the bill say that. So...
Yeah, I'm seeing on the back of this, they have silver certificate written on the top.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. So private currencies can say whatever they want. And yet, this coin I have here, it's still a mistake that it doesn't have a God motto. Because I have here a 2003 Silver Liberty, and unfortunately, it says, "Trust in God." Now they say trust in God. I think that's even worse because it sounds like a commandment. So what I'm trying to do is I'm hoping to since it seems that we cannot lobby to our government to have a secular currency, maybe it's possible to have a privately minted currency that would be without a God motto. And that's just, that alone isn't reason enough to use a private currency, but that's one on top of many.
Yeah.
And I've written to Norfed, who mints this, and I haven't heard back from them yet. But I don't want to be the only one. Anybody wants to check it out, it's a nonprofit group, norfed.org, Norfed, and read up on it, maybe write to them suggesting that they have a godless variation of the currency.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool. And there's also silver certificates. Some of them have the God motto on it, and some of them don't. And I happen to have one that's without. I'm not sure how rare that is, but their certificates are backed in silver. I would like there to be something like, one nation under the Constitution. That might be a nice motto that almost everybody could agree with. And so I've put in my formal request. I think others might want to do the same. Our Federal Reserve had an opportunity around the year 2000 to take the motto off because they had to change all their dies.
Yes.
And
for the new bills and everything.
Right, but they didn't do it. Yeah. So,
we're doing that again now for the new $20 bill.
Yeah.
And I think the new 50 and 100 are coming.
Oh, are they?
Sometime. I'm not too sure exactly when that is.
Yeah, they're also going to have
it out with the 10.
Yeah, they're also going to have new nickels.
Yes.
Which aren't made out of nickel, unfortunately.
They stopped that a while ago.
So anyway, this doesn't have to be an issue just for atheists. Many religious citizens hold that, there's that quote, those things that are Caesar's and things that are God's should not be conjoined. Well, this is that in the most literal sense, having God on the money.
Yeah.
This is at the heart of that in the most literal sense. And by the way, Norfed calls this coin I have here the ungodly mistake. That's what they refer to it. I think it's an improvement. But I hope they can make more of those. So that's actually very valuable. Very rare.
Okay.
And now there's also digital currencies. Many of us use them. And there's even gold-backed currencies. At least that doesn't have God mottos on it. You can't put God on the electron in any way.
Yeah.
Of course, who knows? They could have little pop-up screens every time you spend.
For every in God we trust.
For every dollar you spend, clicking that little X. Oh, God damn it.
God.
So that's something I'm going to take on. I'm going to see if I can get us at least a private godless currency.
Yeah, and you had talked about having different currencies, not Federal Reserve, and 5 out of 6 places taking them. How does that work legally, I guess? I mean...
It's perfectly legal. It just has to be voluntary. As long as you don't call it legal tender. And I like explaining it to people. I've talked to a lot of managers, and I've set up some businesses to officially accept it. Okay. There's a lot of benefits to that. And, it's a cool thing to be a part of.
Very interesting. It's always been assumed that, you can't really... I mean, if you start having something else other than legal tender, legal $1 bills, $10 bills, whatnot, it seems like it would fall almost to a bartering stance at that point. And, tokens for bartering, essentially. But, because, I mean...
Yeah, legally it's the same thing as bartering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I guess even with the money, it used to be essentially that you could cash it in for gold and silver and whatnot.
Right, and then when they stop doing that,
you can't do that anymore. So.
They have a competing currency now. What's that going to do if that becomes popular?
This is based on our government's ability to repay its loans and such, and so you must have faith in the government for $1 bills to work.
Yeah.
So not faith in God. So. Because if the government goes down the tubes, then that dollar ain't going to be worth a whole lot.
Mysticism takes many forms more than religious sometimes.
Yeah, really.
Just be a rationalist. You're covered.
Okay. We are going to be going ahead and taking calls. We have one person on the line now. Phone number 477-2288. And you can call us and see what you have to say. First, we're going to go with Johnny. How you doing?
Guys?
Hey.
Great show today.
Thank you.
The whole "in God we trust" thing seems like a kick in the face to anyone, even if it is religious, because considering how, wrapped up in the mysticism and, in some of the satanic side of what our government is involved in, it seems to be a kick in the face at all costs, because anyway, and that's all I had to say. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't call it satanic, but there's certainly things that governments do that are wrong.
Yeah, or just not at least something that if they are true believers, would want to be putting the name of God on. So, I mean, there are definitely some shady deals going on, I'm sure, that, most people don't know about. So.
And putting God all over everything, I mean, doesn't it make it, the whole God concept, even less valuable? I mean, I don't know, it's just inflation of his name, too much God this, God that.
As the value of our dollar bills go down, does the value of God on it go down with it? So, is God affected by, depressions and such? So, we don't know. But, okay, we've got another caller lined up, and we're apparently waiting for names right now. So, okay, let's say phone number 477-2288. Give us a call, see what you got to say. We are on every week, and I believe that we're trying to get reruns set up on Tuesdays, but we don't have that set up just yet. It used to be Tuesdays at 4:30, but I think we're still working on getting that reset up. But like I say, we're atheists. We don't believe in any gods or, supernatural beings or spirituality or anything like that. So if you're channel surfing and you stop short, seeing a couple guys on TV calling themselves atheists, well, give us a call. Also, the website could be worth checking out too, atheist-community.org. They have a fact page on there, and we've been doing the show for around I think it's about 6.5 years now, maybe close to 7 years. And we take very similar calls pretty often. And a lot of those have been answered on our website by our webmaster and people who've been on the show, that type of thing. And so it's very possible that if you have a question, if you go to our website and click on the fact, that it's already answered there. But if it's not, give us a call, yell at us, see what we got to say. Okay, we are going to go to Jessica. How you doing?
Hey, fellas, how are y'all?
Hey.
Great.
Hey, I wanted to compliment y'all. Y'all are breath of fresh air.
Thank you. We try.
Never mind. I couldn't even say it on air, but I deal with Christians every day, and I think they're going to drive me crazy. I wanted to ask, I was looking on y'all's website, there's a doctor, someone has a PhD who's coming in town December 7th, or...
Yes, Dr. Robert Solomon.
Yeah, what is that going to be about? Do you know, or?
Yeah, it's going to be a lecture at 12:30 in the Austin History Center, 9th in Guadalupe. He is going to be talking about philosophy, spirituality, and atheism.
Okay.
And I believe I've got something. Well, no, it's a little bit more about him specifically, but yeah, that's what he's going to be talking about.
Okay, I was just curious because I wanted to attend, and is he from Texas, or I mean?
Yes, I believe he's actually a professor, I want to say, out there. Let me see. Lee Centennial Professor of Business and Philosophy and Distinguished Teaching Professor at the University of Texas at Austin.
Okay, so he thinks, right? I'm sorry, but okay, I just wanted to thank y'all, and y'all take care. Keep on doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for calling. Bye. Okay, now we're going to go to, is that George? George, how you doing?
Hey, this is John, actually.
Oh, okay. It's all right.
I wanted to say that I want to send a shout-out to Arlo, because I know you, man. This is John Doe. I used to on my show one time, yeah. I just wanted to tell you that I really like you on the air, and I think you add a lot to the show, and I want to encourage you to come back on sometime.
Oh, on your show?
No, on this show.
On this show, okay, because I knew you had a show too.
I knew that you worked. I knew you worked back in the sound room and stuff.
Yeah.
And the music and stuff. Yeah. But I've never seen you on the show, and I just wanted to say that I really think you add a lot.
Thanks.
And, keep it up.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
And I don't have anything profound to say about the fucking.
That was profound. I need to be
do.
Like I think we should all be able to do whatever we want to do without stepping on the I'm all against this. What's about this guy? What are they trying to do to Michael Jackson, man? Can you believe that? They've already crucified this guy. And then there's that asshole in Mississippi with the fucking 10 Commandments,
Yeah, that's
we raped that boy, man. We raped Michael Jackson, and now look what's happened.
Yeah,
but anyway, look,
at
God
least we got
bless
to throw
you, and Arlo, I think you're doing a great job, and all you guys up there, my best, and God bless. And, I'm serious.
Okay, we'll take that with a grain of salt there, so.
Okay. I'm going to hang up now, but...
Okay.
All
Okay,
right,
thanks for calling.
All right, thanks. Yeah, great to hear from you. Yeah, I know John Doe had a show also. I don't know if that's still on the air, though.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice to have you around a little bit more in here.
Sure, yeah, I've been out of town a lot. And,
Yeah. So, been collecting any more holy paraphernalia stuff at all?
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and then picking something new.
Yeah, I mean, I just grabbed the Christian Yellow Pages, and we probably won't have time to go through it, but it's funny because I was at the DMV.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to renew my license, and that's how long and boring the wait is that I actually read the Christian Yellow Pages while I was waiting there. And there's a couple. Let's take some more calls, but if we find a period where we don't have enough calls, I might.
All right, then we are going to Ryan. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey.
I was going to ask what you guys' opinion was. Oh, yeah, first of all, the Jesus and Christian memorabilia collection. Me and my friends do that. We have tons of plastic little Jesuses and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I read about theology and religion and stuff, and I'm really into studying these new world order, phony liberal type cults that want to prophesize the second coming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what you guys' thing was about what your opinion was on the Raelians.
Well, the Raelians have actually gotten in touch with it a couple times. I want to say it was the Godless Americans March on Washington, or it was something relatively recently, where they kind of they got in touch with the ACA and wanted to go along with us and do these certain take God out of the country type thing, just because they don't believe in God either. Mm-hmm. They believe that aliens came down and put all life here, and so we kind of said thanks but no thanks, because that it's a little more plausible, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
So yeah, they've got some pretty kooky beliefs themselves.
Yeah. Where'd you pick up those Christian Yellow Pages at?
Well, I don't want to advertise these places, but there are Christian shops all over, and I think they all have them.
Those kind of Christians.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more of them in shopping malls now, I guess.
Yeah, apparently. So.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks for calling. Yeah. Okay. Well, apparently we've got a few minutes now.
Okay.
What do we?
Yeah, I wanted. Yeah, it's a lot like going through holy paraphernalia, going through these things.
Yes, this is public access television. We're now going to read the phone book to you.
There is a full-page advertisement for a Christian law firm. And now, lawyers, they usually charge per the hour. They charge a whole lot per the hour. Yeah. And I like this quote they have under their full-page ad. It's a quote from Martin Luther that says, quote, "I have so much to do today that I shall spend the first 3 hours in prayer." So I bet this guy gets.
What is the dollar value of his prayer?
Gets a lot of people, a lot of his clients calling and complaining. Why the hell did you charge me 4 hours for a 1 hour consultation?
Well, we had to pray for an hour to make sure that we do the right things. So.
Oh, the cover. Yeah, we got the cover. It's the.
Yes.
Frightened people looking up at God with fear, and they always have that. Lamb around the neck jewelry in those days. And yeah, you can pick these. Come out monthly. I guess they get more payments for advertisements, so they have to renew it every month. As if the stores change.
I know, every month.
The Christian friendly stores change every month. Are people constantly being converted and deconverted? Maybe that's it. And like some of these other slogans, Dell Automotive, owned by our Lord Jesus Christ and operated by Oscar Delph. And so that way you
the right-hand man to God.
If you try to complain to the manager, it'll be, no, you got to talk to the owner about that.
You got to talk to the owner.
Yeah, it's not my responsibility.
Go home and pray. They'll fix your tires.
And there's this ad in here. I can't even believe this. It says custom statues, biodegradable statues of family members, fashioned from pure sea salt. The ultimate... Remember Sodom and Gomorrah?
Yeah.
If you don't know the story, when God destroys Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot and his wife and his 2 daughters are fleeing, and God commands his wife not to look back.
Yes.
She looks back, and he turns her into a pillar of salt. And that's where they got this idea. Now, that would be insulting... No pun intended, to family members to turn them into a pillar of salt. So I don't know who would hire them to do that.
Wow.
That's probably expensive. I'd love to have that for holy paraphernalia. It would probably be really expensive.
Yeah. Actually, I had one of these a while back. It was, I can't remember the magazine offhand, But in the back, it was a normal news commentary type magazine, Newsweek type thing. But in the back, it was a Christian, oriented news magazine. And in the back were a whole bunch of advertisements, and a lot of them were very, very Christian in there. It was just funny, they had Christian long distance services. Don't pay for Satan taking your calls, pay for Jesus handling your phone lines.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
It's wacky stuff.
Will Jesus be my operator? Yes, my son, I'll connect you. I like this ad.
Okay.
Koch Enterprises Incorporated, full service, we do it all in one call, servicing Central Texas. By the way, Koch,
Wow.
K-O-K, stands for
King of Kings.
King of Kings. It's not... I think it might be an
it's not
underground
all
prostitution ring. But
That's just their front, their Christian front, to get into the Christian Yellow Pages.
And here's one, Alternative Resolutions Counseling. It's counseling for adolescent behavior. And their logo is Noah's Ark over water. And that reminds us of how God deals with misbehavior, doesn't it? What a perfect symbol.
So let's wipe out everybody.
We'll
and
drown your ass in a bathtub if your kids are misbehaving. What do we have here? For an insurance company, they have the quote, "Faith is believing what God says simply because it is God who says it." It's an insurance company.
God
I don't
said your
trust.
house should burn down. Sorry, but we don't insure against that.
You can't trust.
We can't go against the will of God. He burned your house down. Sorry. So. Okay, let's go ahead and take one or two more callers. First off, we have Robinson. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. You were talking about the Raelians, and I have a friend that actually follows these philosophies, although I don't really agree with what he says about them and I guess their beliefs, there's a common belief that should be grasped by these people and by all others, and that's fight, bastards unite, fight!
Bye. Okay, wow. You gotta get out more. It's a nice day. A little on chilly side, but it's a nice day. So
Almost went deaf there.
Okay, as I said, we are a live call-in show. You can give us a call and ask us questions, 477-2288. And while we're waiting for a couple of calls to get in, we can go over this one.
Okay, yeah, here's some paraphernalia.
This is something that I got a couple months back. It's Los Siete Baños Ejercizados de San Cipriano. The 7 Baths of Exorcism of San Cipriano. And I like how they got the cobra and the adder and the chicken and everything on there.
Let's let the audience know that you got it as a gift. You didn't buy it because you really needed it.
No. So, yes, I did get this as a gift. And yeah, it comes with a whole little instruction set, all typed up in Spanish. But what it's got is these little jars of what is just kind of colored water.
It's actually like a bubble bath. It's suds. I have one of these. I also got one as a gift that I use in my Holy Paraphernalia presentation. Yeah, it's salvation through bubble bath.
Okay. Yeah, it does have a smell to it.
Does it smell nice?
Yeah, they've all got different colors. You got, red and green and stuff. They all have the days labeled on it. And basically what you're supposed to do is either wash, it's for everything. It cures everything. And essentially you just, you either bathe in this or you soak the object in this or, whatever it is. And my Spanish was fairly rusty, so I actually had to go to Google, one of these websites out there to translate it. But what was it for? They're used to retire, to exorcise and nullify spells, bad omens, I'll guess, false testimonies, badness, envy, obsessions, and all diabolic possession. For animals, houses, furniture, and other objects, and apparently people too. But like I say, you've got all these different daily baths that you're supposed to take. And yeah, you've got this little bag. You take a green towel.
This is different than mine.
And you wrap that stuff up in it. It's got some kind of little red seed or something like that in there.
It's like
Fool's Gold.
Rock? Oh.
It looks like I can't remember the actual name of the stone. But yeah, it's actually, it looks like fool's gold.
It's religious fool's gold and 2 red beans in there, too.
Yeah.
So. It's like voodoo. The way this is called Santeria, by the way. People do take this very seriously. There's some Santeria shops here in Austin.
Yeah. They've got a couple candles that go along with it. One with a chicken, one with a goat.
Yeah, you need that. to just have a nice mood and atmosphere when you're taking your religious bubble bath.
Exactly. When you're taking your bubble bath, you need some candlelight to go along with it. So, but yeah, this is very interesting to get this and look over it. We're planning on doing an exorcism on the show sometime, possibly.
Oh, nice.
So we'll bring somebody in who has lost their soul or is possessed by demons and see what we can do for
If
them.
you've lost your soul or you're possessed by demons, give us a call.
Contact us. We will save you. So, okay, we have Tammy on line too. How you doing?
Hi. Hey, I was just looking through the channels, and so let me get this straight. You guys are atheists.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And, well, what do you believe? How do you believe that you're here or how you're formed is what I'm...
Well, there's certainly a lot to believe in, a lot beyond God.
Yeah.
Science has uncovered a lot in biology and geology to find out the origins of not just us, but our world, evolution of our solar system.
Yeah. So you do believe in science. You're more science. You believe you're on the science side of...
I am convinced of the best competitive theories out there. I wouldn't use the word believe, and if I use the word belief, I'm using it in a weak sense. I mean, I think to make decisions in life, sometimes we do have to make a judgment on what's happened in the past and how we got here, and so I try to take the most realistic theory based on the evidence that we have today.
But do you believe in good and evil? Do you believe that there's... Have you ever walked into a house and gone, oh, man, there's something really... strange in this air, in
like
this
a smell
house that I'm in.
Yeah, but that's usually a product of the air conditioning or something.
That's pretty good, but you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you sense evil or you sense good. And, I've bounced back and forth between believing in God and being an atheist. I remember saying, okay, this is me, this is my flesh, this dies. What else is there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, what happens? I'm going to die, my flesh goes.
Well,
but yet, is there a soul? Am I going to float away, and is something going to happen?
And religion definitely does have a strong hold on that. I mean, nobody likes the fact that they're going to die, that I've only got so many years left of my life, and then it's going to be over. I mean, I don't like that any more than anybody else does. But again, going with, a naturalistic view of the universe, knowing that there are scientific reasons for things, that we can, observe effects, and we see other animals die and they don't continue on, why should we? Again, we see
that... How do you explain the, when somebody dies and they bring them back to life, how do you explain that?
When does that happen? You mean like someone's resuscitated?
Death experiences. And
okay. Those I've actually seen some pretty decent explanations on, given how the brain reacts when it's deprived of oxygen, as in which parts of it start shutting down first. And essentially when the optic area, is deprived of oxygen, you just start, it just turns into a big white light, essentially, is, the equivalent of what you see.
So you think that it's pretty much hallucinations when they're...
Yeah, I mean, again,
actually when the body is dying.
Yeah, and a lot of it is cultural. I mean,
people say, "Oh, I saw my grandma." Now, I've never had anything like that happen to me, but I can tell you on the opposite end, where when I was, I'm 37 right now. I was 18 years old, and I took I don't know how many pills. I took some sleeping pills, and I wanted to die, and I did. It worked, and I was clinically dead, but I didn't have that light, and my grandma and grandpa, whatever. What happened to me was I felt like I was falling into a deep black hole.
Okay.
And then I had this big hand come and grab me and throw me on the floor, and I was like thrown off the bed because I thought, oh, I'm just going to go to sleep and never wake up again. Yeah. And it wasn't that way. I woke up, but there was it was just a hand that threw me down. So, I mean, how do you explain these things?
And I have heard of a lot of that. Again, that sounds vaguely similar. I actually did some reading up on out-of-body experiences several years back, and a lot of those are very, very similar to near-death experiences. And essentially, again, there is absolutely no evidence that we see that you have some kind of soul or consciousness that is separate from your body and can leave it.
Or that there's a big hand separate from your body that grabbed you.
Exactly.
It was felt that way. You know.
Well, sure, because it was your brain was harmed. It was your mind that was deprived of oxygen, and I would expect that to be very similar to taking, heavy drugs or something hallucinogenic.
Yeah, you can get something happening there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's just interesting how some people see the light and see all these people. Not me.
You got something different.
Yeah, I had the negative, the opposite.
Yeah.
And so, do you believe that there is a good and an evil? Not necessarily Satan and God, but do you believe that in this universe?
Well, there is. I don't believe that there is, an objective, this is good all the time, everywhere, under every circumstance, and this is always bad under every circumstance, every time. Again, everything is relative. What is the situation that you're in that makes this good or bad? And like I say, I mean, that can be applied to everything. And so, again, is there an objective good and bad? No. Is there a relative good and bad? Absolutely.
Actually, I look at it slightly different. By objective, what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking, like they say, great minds tend to think alike. I think rational minds tend to think alike. I think that people, if they take the best choice of action when in the same situation, it would tend to be the same action. There is an ideal response to things that happen to you. And the ideal I would call the good, and the not so ideal I guess I could call the bad. And so I think that it may be objective in that way, that there, some action has got to be the best of all actions one can take in any given situation.
In a specific situation, yes, you could say, in this situation, doing action A is, the correct, the good thing to do. But you can't just then apply that and say, okay, well, in this situation, not stealing things is the good thing to do.
Right.
Therefore, in every circumstance you can possibly imagine, stealing is the wrong thing to do.
Right. Yeah, different
you
variables.
Can't apply that.
You can look at it like equations. Change the variable, and you might have a different answer. But
Exactly.
I think right and wrong is to be determined, not to be just believed or accepted from a dogma on faith. Yeah. It's to be determined.
Yeah. And
well, how do you guys feel about they have all these shows where they go ghost in the how do you think of poltergeist? What do you think of things like that? Is there something beyond that's coming out at us? Do you believe in the poltergeist type situations?
I don't believe that at all. I mean, I wish I knew someone with a haunted house. I'd be happy to walk right in there and say, "Ooh, come on, ghosts."
So you don't believe in ghosts or spirits? Y'all don't believe in any of that?
No, not at all. And I remember when I was a child, I did. And I used to kind of trick myself into believing all kinds of things.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, I would give myself chills and maybe exaggerate things a bit to spook my friends. And I suspect that maybe adults do that too. Some people maybe don't.
Our imagination is really powerful. And
our imaginations, of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Our brain is the most powerful thing that there is. But I also believe that there's something, I'm not sure, I'm not really on the, I know that Jesus was probably a man, but I'm not sure about how, I don't know if he was like all this, if he was God's son. And I really, I'm confused. None of us were there. None of us were there.
Yeah. So you might as well remain agnostic about Jesus.
Okay.
Just to not believe, and you don't have to disbelieve either.
Because again, with anything, there's always, is there enough evidence to support this idea? Now,
exactly? I want evidence. That's what I want for everything, and I'm very open.
Exactly. Was Jesus a man? Well, I've seen some things that say yes, some things that no. I haven't really read into it all that much, so I kind of don't take a stand on that. But as far as saying, was he the son of an all-powerful God who decided to, impregnate some woman?
Very confusing to me.
That's getting into, those are some pretty extraordinary claims there.
Exactly.
And to be able to back that up, you better have a lot of evidence to go along with it.
Exactly.
And I don't see any of it.
Well, we weren't there. So, we don't know.
No, but when we have documentation, we have, and also there are just some logical problems. You can't have a square circle. It's a contradiction. It cannot exist. And so applying that to God, if God is, most definitions, when people say, do you believe in a God or don't you believe in a God, they usually mean that it's some kind of force or entity who is conscious out there in the universe.
And you're like, no, you guys are no way.
Typically, yes. But again, it depends on the definition. Most people would say that this God knows absolutely everything. He is good in every circumstance, and he is all-powerful. He can do anything that he wants. That God does not exist. End of story, no questions asked. Because, again, it goes back to the problem of evil. How can bad things in the world possibly happen if God knows about it, can do something about it, and wants good things to happen? You know, he would be able to change things. He would be able to come up with better situations.
Yeah, but then there's the theory of free will, and, you know...
Well, the problem with that one is, whose free will? You know, you can say that, you know, well, you know, he's not going to stop the free will of, you know, the murderer by, you know, stopping him from killing someone. But what about the victim's free will of saying that they don't want to get killed today? And,
that's the confusing part.
And where does free will come into it when you have an earthquake? You know, from stopping people from doing things, that's one thing. From an earthquake or a tornado,
Mother Nature,
that's something different. That doesn't have a consciousness.
There's also subtle ways to prevent tragedies without preventing free will. I mean, even when it's the evil of man causing it, like to cause a gun to, if someone's going to shoot another person, to have the gun jam, you know, more than it does, you know, that might be one way.
But you do admit that there are evil people out amongst us.
There are people who are doing bad things. I'm just kind of...
You have no problem putting evil on...
Well, I don't want to label someone like a bad seed.
I'm tiptoeing around that because, yeah, I mean, just labeling someone as being, you know, evil.
Right, as if they were born that way.
Exactly.
Or, I mean, the way I look at it is not so much as good and evil. I look at it as rational and irrational. There are people who are irrational. There are people who are rational. I think that almost everybody, is capable of being rational. It's just that nobody's really trying. We don't have much influence to think in terms of rational or irrational. We think of good or bad, and then we're taught that you have to have just the right dogma to determine good for bad. And that's not good.
And I went to college, I got a degree in economics, and so I kind of look at the world in that way, in that, you know, everybody is selfish to the extent that I want what's best for me. And while, you know, immediately that kind of sounds like, you know, Scrooge type thing. Well, you know, what's good for me and, you know, screw everybody else. But if you go around, you know, screwing everybody else, it's going to come back.
So do you believe in karma then?
Not exactly, no. Again, going back to, let's say, a small village or something like that, if you're constantly making bad deals and treating everybody poorly, they're not going to have any reason to treat you well. They're going to just, you know, stop dealing with you.
Right.
And if all of a sudden I have to find my own food, build my own hut, do my own hunting, and just, you know, completely take care of myself, that sucks. That's a lot of work. If I could just be nice to some people and say, you know, here, I'll do this for you if you do that for me, the world works out to be a better place. We're social. We have to get along. So.
It's not as if, you know, there's this thing called karma, the stuff that's in the air that knows when you've been naughty or nice. The way it is that, and there's a reason for that, a perfectly naturalistic, materialistic reason for that, is that you're a human being, you're around other human beings, and they are witnessing what you do. They remember everything you do. They judge you. And,
based on your actions.
Right, and so that's why what goes around often comes around.
And a lot of times when you see things against that, as in, you know, somebody's always driving recklessly or something like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, they get their comeuppance, well, they had it coming, that's karma. A lot of times you only look at the things that go along with what you were seeing in the first place. You look at, you know, how the bad things happen to them, but you ignore all the good stuff that happened to them. And so essentially it's just selective viewing.
But if you are a negative person and you're constantly, you know, putting out negativity, that's what's going to come back to you.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
That's what makes it negative almost by definition.
Exactly, because you know, if somebody's always negative to me, I'm going to, you know, end up most likely being negative back to them because they just annoy me.
Right.
So
you agree there's a negative and a positive. And then, you know, and then it gets down to good and evil, and you guys don't believe in that, but sometimes I...
Well, no, I'm not saying I don't believe in that. I'm just saying that I choose to... I think that what's good is rational, what's evil is irrational. Yeah. I'm not saying it's instead of good or evil. I'm just saying that's probably what explains it.
It's better definition of good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the guys who... the serial killers. To me, that's just, and you know, the only word I can come up with is pure evil, and that's all they had in them. They didn't see any good, and they commit these heinous crimes. And that type of person, I tend to, you know, put a label of evil on.
Yeah, And we're trying to figure out why those things happen. I mean, is it faulty wiring in the brain? Is it chemical problems?
Why?
You know, I mean, do they just have different decision-making processes than we do?
Or is there someone that had such a horrible, lousy premise in their understanding of the way things are and people and what they deserve that it caused him to do this? We want to know. We want to understand that. But at least that serial killers aren't that common. I mean, look at all the billions of people who aren't killing other people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
You've got your famous ones, and you wonder about their mind and where their mind is going and has been.
And that's what we're trying to figure out, to see what goes on with that.
And that's part of the process of fixing it, figuring it out.
We have limits in our knowledge.
The brain is just incredible. I mean, we don't have a clue. I mean, what we could do if we could tap into certain areas, and almost like the movie Phenomenon, where he could move the pencil and so forth. I think there's a lot we could do with our brain that we don't.
I don't think we could do that, though.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. How would that possibly work?
It's all relative. It's energy.
And again, you can apply science to this.
Science, exactly.
Yeah, you can have, yes, there are a lot of things that we don't understand in the world, granted. Let's say that, psychic powers, telekinesis, something like that is just something that we haven't discovered yet. We haven't figured out how it really works. So we can't
you do believe that
teach
some people are psychic? Do you believe that?
No, you can't apply science to it because apparently nobody's
nobody's doing it.
It's never observed.
And
hold on, what is the science to psychic people?
Well, for telekinesis, for instance, that's being able to move something with your mind. It takes energy.
Exactly.
In physics, we kind of have energy pretty well mapped out. In terms of, microwaves, radio waves, sound waves, all this kind of stuff. We have it pretty well mapped out. We can't, come up with any way that this would possibly work. We have never actually seen it work. It's never been tested.
Right.
It's never been successfully done in some kind of laboratory scenario where we can figure out how this stuff works. It's still just, stories and, secondhand accounts and that type of thing, which aren't scientific.
It's not something to be believed in, and hence it doesn't have to be explained. I mean, it's sometimes kind of fun to think about, how would that work if it happened?
Exactly.
But it hasn't even happened. There's an atheist magician by the name of James Randi who's offering $1,100,000 to someone who can demonstrate to him something of what's considered the supernatural. Yeah. Nobody's been able to do it. When anyone who has tried, he's able to. The deal is that he's able to reproduce it using science. There's usually some kind of trickery involved, and so this stuff just doesn't happen.
And that offer by him has actually been out there for years and years and years.
If there were psychics, I would think they would do that. And often, some psychics will say, oh, well, my powers won't work if it's for greed or if it's for money. But James Randi has made it clear that you can give it to a donation of your choice. You can donate that to charity. So why aren't they doing it now? That makes them look really bad.
Okay, but you do agree there are some legitimacy to psychic phenomenons. I mean, like I've had dreams. I've had dreams that have come true. Just minor one. Nothing like jet.
And
jet
how many
747 is going to crash at 5 p.m.
And how many dreams have you had that didn't come true?
Oh, a lot.
Statistics.
But I've had several that have come true, but that are just so
and chance.
Stupid. Yeah, they're just really they've come true.
It would be really strange if not a single one of your dreams ever came out to be sort of partially true. That would be kind of strange.
People have usually we don't remember our dreams, but almost everybody dreams every night. Yeah. And of course, some things are going to happen to come true. You tend to dream about things that are happening in your life anyway.
Yeah. Well, I dreamt, I left Austin, and I dreamt about a friend that he got a motorcycle and he had a wreck. And so I called another friend and said, man, I really have this weird dream. And he's like, oh, he actually he didn't have a motorcycle when I left town. And then he goes, oh, well, what color is it? He was challenging me. And I went, well, in my dream it was blue. And he goes, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is weird. And the guy ended up having a wreck. And it was all. So what do you say about things like that? What is that?
Everybody I've ever met who has a motorcycle tells me stories of wrecking. Every person I've ever known. So it is going to happen.
Say,
a lot of these
if you have a motorcycle, you're going to have a wreck. But when I left town, this guy, I didn't even know he was going to get a motorcycle, and I pictured the whole scene. Yeah. I pictured the whole scene. Yeah. So how do you explain that?
Well, I'm just saying some of the variables really aren't that remarkable. And then you might have one like, happening to dream of the color.
Yeah. But again, they have a certain number of colors typically, red, black, blue.
Yeah,
Right.
what else?
It's
Pink.
pretty, you're not going to have a,
Right, a
pink.
wide variety. They could have. See, but when I left town, the guy wasn't even on a motorcycle. He was driving a truck. And when I called, I went, "Oh yeah, he bought a motorcycle."
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. But also, I mean, keep in mind, there's over 6 billion people on the planet, each person dreaming multiple dreams, and you're going to have stuff like that happen.
You're going to have a couple hits. But,
I mean, I've never had a dream that accurate. Have you?
No. No,
You know,
I actually don't
so
remember
for every
too many of
person
my
who has a
dreams,
dream
but-
like that, then there's lots of people who haven't. You happen to be someone who had that, and you're here telling us about it. But how many people watching the show right now?
But did you find that interesting? I would love to have some more callers come in and say, "Hey, have you ever had like a really weird dream that came true?" I would love to have some callers. So I'm just like out there right now saying, "Come on, callers, call in and say what dreams you've had that have actually been accurate and not just where you can say, oh well, that was it could have happened." You know what I'm saying? You're saying, well. That's no big deal. It could happen.
Yeah. Well, we are going to go ahead and let you go. We got a couple of callers lined up on the show.
Well, good. I hope you get some good callers. And you know what, guys? It was so much fun talking to you. I really appreciate you keeping me on this long. And you're very interesting. Keep up the work.
Call back anytime. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Actually, I do have a dream to share. This is actually very interesting. It demonstrates another way dreams can come true. This year, I had a dream about a kitten that was that needed help or something. And then as I was waking up very slowly, and I heard a kitten meowing outside. Yeah. And at first I thought, oh, that's weird. A lot of people would say it's some psychic thing. And how did I know there would be a cat outside? And then I realized, wait a minute, that cat may have been meowing early enough before I woke up and put that in my head.
Your mind integrates this stuff, yeah.
Right. And if I wasn't a rationalist, if I liked mystical thinking, I would have just decided not to figure it out and say, yep, it was psychic.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, no, actually, as I was waking up, the cat wasn't meowing. I'm misremembering. My wife was waking up, and she said she had a dream about a kitten, too. And this is before we heard the meowing while awake. So then that was very strange. Okay. And then we heard some meowing outside. And I thought, oh, we must have heard the cat last night.
Exactly.
But if that cat didn't meow again, I might have not really figured it out. I thought, oh, weird. Is there some kind of telepathy between me and my wife? Because,
So, like I say, the mind works in strange ways, and definitely in between that sleep and awake time when you're just waking up, there's some really funky stuff that goes on. So, well, we are going to go with Sydney. Sydney on line 1. How you doing?
Hi you guys. I really enjoyed watching your show every week.
Thank you.
And I'm sort of, I guess, agnostic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rather than atheist.
Okay.
And but with the last caller, she kind of covered all the things I wanted to touch on, but she wanted to know about a dream that came true, which is, I have a little problem with you guys because it seemed like you absolutely say there is no God, you're atheist, but you're not willing to open your mind to think that, okay, other things may go on. People may have spiritual experiences. Yeah. But I'm going to say a quick dream that I knew could be no coincidence whatsoever. I was in the Army. I was stationed in Korea, and I really wanted to go to this particular station in Virginia, but they wouldn't offer it to me. They tried to send me to Kentucky. I said, no, I really want to go to Virginia. So I decided that I was going to get out of the Army because I wasn't going where I wanted to be stationed at. So one night I had a dream that I walked into this place, and this lady was there, 2 other soldiers was there, and this man was there. So anyway, to speed it up, later on I found out they said, okay, we can send you to Virginia. So about 30 days after I, left and took leave and everything, I arrived at my station. I go to my workshop. There's the same people in my dream.
Yeah.
Well, was it a man and 2 women, did you say? What was the combination there?
It was a man. He was the head, and it was this woman. And I know I couldn't come up with her in my just think of her because she had bright red hair. If I didn't remember anything, I remembered that bright red hair.
So it's really the hair that made it the same person.
No, I remembered the woman, her face and everything.
Yeah. But how much of that, again, are you... What was the time frame that you're talking about here between having the dream and having this experience?
Oh, this was a few months. this was a few months between, because it took a while for me to re-enlist and get my station and go and leave.
And a lot of that stuff can be forgotten, and then you can retroactively apply this stuff, saying, it's kind of that deja vu thing. Then you remember the dream, and you kind of apply these faces to those people and say, yeah, that looks right.
That's what I was thinking, because it's very hard to remember a face in detail like that, especially from a dream.
No, because I totally remembered it. I totally remember just walking into the place. I remembered the whole place.
Yeah.
And I had never been to the station before. I've been to this part of Virginia, but I've never been on this base before.
Okay. All right. Well, going back to what you had said earlier, you had said that we appear to be, saying that there is no God, but we're not opening our minds up to other, psychic experiences, for one.
I don't like to call it psychic experience.
Yeah, but just outside paranormal.
Spiritual experience.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Essentially, I am what you just said there is kind of defining what we typically call a hard atheist. Atheist simply means the lack of belief in a God, which is different from saying, I believe there is no God. Right. You could say that, I haven't seen any evidence of unicorns, so I don't think they're out there. Or you could take the hard line and say there are no unicorns, period. We're not doing that. I cannot logically defend the argument that given any definition of God you care to throw at me, that does not exist. God can be hiding out under a rock in Missouri. It's unlikely, but possible. And so I am agnostic. I don't know for a fact whether God exists or doesn't exist. But given the lack of evidence, I choose not to believe. I'm an atheist. But again, I can't logically defend the argument that, there is no God, period, end of story.
Yeah, I'm surprised you thought we came off that way, because...
it seemed like as she was going along telling her own spiritual experience, because even if I think somebody is kooky, I never try to disavow the spiritual experience. Because they could be kooky, but... they at least think they really have spiritual experience.
Yeah, I didn't think she was kooky.
No.
I'm not saying she was in particular.
and again, just by the amount of reading that I've done and studying into, I did do a lot of reading on psychics and telekinesis, out-of-body experiences, all that kind of stuff before I was really, into, the atheist group. And like I say, a lot of the reading I did on that kind of backs it up to a certain extent. But then again, just looking at the real world, look at what has been, proven and not proven and still questioned, stuff like that. We have absolutely no evidence of, let's say, psychic abilities. Again, there are certain stories here and there, and, you've got, phone psychics, but, we have no evidence that this really works. It can't be proven. And if you actually look at a lot of this stuff, John Edwards, for instance, a big name, everybody knows John Edwards, and you watch his hour show and he gets so many things that are right. What they don't show is that that's from like an entire day's worth of taping. And they only pick the points that he actually got right. Like, I see a bookcase and there's a picture of Disney World on it. And they go, oh yeah, that's at my mother's house, and da-da-da-da-da.
Right. Yeah,
again, you can do cold readings. And that's basically what psychic is. It's just doing a cold reading. When you have the tarot cards, this is a bad card. There's something bad going in your life with your job, and then they kind of apply it to that and they'll think, okay, what's going wrong in my job? Ooh, I didn't get the promotion I wanted. And so you can have cold readings and things like that, again, if you have somebody who's prone to believe this in the first place,
right.
They're gonna try and fit it. They're gonna find something that backs up what's being said.
Right, I understand, but it's just, it's like I've had like more than that, but it's too long to go into. So that's why. But I don't really know if there's a God. I'm more interested in whether we have some kind of spirituality that we're not tapping into.
Yeah. And again, it's something that we have just seen no evidence for. Psychic abilities, telekinesis, ESP of any kind. We haven't seen any scientific evidence of it. And so until something comes up, I choose not to believe that there is such a thing as ESP or whatever. Again, as soon as somebody comes forward and says they can reliably, have a psychic prediction or whatever, then fine, I'll look at that evidence and see what happens.
Because I've been looking for people of different religions, different everything to explain some of my experiences. But, you know, just for them to say, oh, it's all God or it's all Satan, you know, it kind of made me want to throw up. So,
yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, I'm starting to read a lot of different texts and stuff like that. But, you know.
And like I say, there are a lot of websites out there, you know, all the books that you're reading and stuff like that are typically going to back up their position, you know, for obvious reasons. Yeah. If you look at things like skeptic.org, like it's basically short for Skeptics Dictionary. Right. That's a website, and they have write-ups on a lot of these different things out there. Okay. And it'll have links to other articles, and they also have it's more religion-based and biology and such, but they have it's not infidels.org, but Talk Origins. Talk Origins. And again, that's another website that goes into a lot of the scientific side of things. But again, if you do a couple searches on the web, you know, for, you know, skeptic or psychic abilities, you know, disprove, debunk, something like that, they have a lot of, you know, things out there that show, you know, in scientific studies that psychic abilities, they're no more than chance.
The Skeptics Dictionary website's very good because it also gives people a chance to respond. Also, they have links to people who have had objections to what they say, and they actually post those objections, and they have their responses. It has a lot of intellectual honesty on that side.
Are you guys like trying to push some kind of policy, or like just to get all that Christian influence out of our government?
That is a big part of it. We're trying to promote separation of church and state.
Right.
Basically, the government shouldn't be out there saying that, you know, for you to be a true American, you have to believe in God. You know, or anything like that.
Which has been said by
George
Bush.
Exactly.
He said that.
Yeah, by the first George Bush. And so, yeah, I mean, and it's not just an atheist thing. Again, whenever they say, you know, God in government, it's fairly obvious that what they mean is Judeo-Christian God.
Right.
So anybody of any other religion, their God doesn't count. Anyone who chooses not to believe in a God, they don't really count. And so that's what we're basically trying to argue against. So it's just be a little more inclusive. The government should not be saying that, you know, these people are right and these people are wrong in terms of religion. That's not their business. The government's business is to, you know, build roads. You know, that type of thing.
I agree with you.
They don't have to say, you know, you should believe this and not that. You know, that's not their position. So.
Okay, I agree with you. You guys have a great show. Keep up the good work, and every week I'll be tuned in.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Okay, and next we have Lynn. How you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Is this Ashley?
Yes.
Hi. Listen, I want to just say that, you know, your biggest strength is keeping an open mind.
Okay.
And I also
despite being on the atheist experience, but okay.
Yeah, and you do, and not being too arrogant and thinking that you know everything, and that's true of Christians or Buddhists or anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I also want to say that as far as free will is concerned, my understanding of free will. Hang on a second. Sorry.
Okay.
Free will, in my understanding, is we are free to love or not to love, and that's it. And so when we go through life, we can, you know, we all teach each other, and we can either teach each other to be loving or not to be loving.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the bottom line on free will.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to, typically, if you're going to be a loving person, life is going to work out better for you.
And however, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, being loving is not enough. Having a sense of importance and a sense that one matters is also very important. Having a strong ego.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
No, I'm just saying that Buddhists, you know, transcending your ego, blah, 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 you know, all that stuff it's not enough. It's not enough to love. I also have to feel that I matter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, psychology is definitely important. That's basically what it is. Just knowing that, I have a place in the world, that I am good at certain things.
Right.
That I can make, certain people's lives a little bit better because I'm doing, whatever it is I do.
Right.
It's a driving force. It's basically what gets you up in the morning to go out and do things.
Yeah, you have to believe you can do that before you'd have the motivation to go out and do it.
Exactly. So that
it's a prime mover.
Yeah, having the ego and having the decision to love are both the most important things in life. As far as I'm concerned, God or no God, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to tell you is I did have an encounter with a true psychic at a bar one time.
So that's where they're hanging out. Okay.
And I am a very skeptical person, but this guy was 6'7" tall.
Wow.
And he and this friend of his came up to a friend of mine and I at this bar at 3:00 in the afternoon in Anchorage, Alaska. And this guy, the three of them went to talk to some prospector who was selling some gold. And I stayed by myself for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when they came back, I went to talk to the prospector, and I bought some gold from him, played a couple of games of pool. And when I came back, I had spent less than a minute with these guys because I really didn't care to talk to them.
Yeah.
The tall guy came up to me, and he put me on his knee, and he covered up one of my eyes. I'm 5'2" tall. He covered up half of my face, and I said, you're covering up the wrong eye. And he said, what can you see? And I said, you're covering up the wrong eye. I can see everything. And I said, how did you know anyway? And he said, I'm psychic. That's how the conversation went. I'm legally blind in one eye.
Okay.
This is a totally dark place.
Yeah.
And I went up to my friend Kim, and I said, did you tell him that I was legally blind in one eye? And she said, no, she had no idea that I was.
Yeah.
So that was my only experience with a psychic that was actually true.
Yeah. And again, what was going on in that situation, we obviously have no idea.
We have no idea. But, my contact with him was so brief and it was so dark in the place.
Yeah.
And my friends don't even know because you can't even tell.
Yeah.
But he knew. And then he looked at me and he said, that he was, it didn't freak me out at all. And so he said his mother didn't want him to use his powers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I wasn't even freaked out about it.
Yeah. And again, some people are just very in tune with certain things. And I'm not speaking in some kind of psychic way, but just if you typically work, let's say it's your job to work with deaf people, for instance, you can typically, even if they're really good at reading lips and everything like that, you can still, you just kind of pick up on little nuances. And so, it is possible that, he worked with people who, had vision problems or something like that. And
yeah, I don't think so.
He could just kind of pick up on little nuances.
Yeah, but, the place is dark. Nobody that sees me ever thinks that I'm legally blind in one eye. But this guy was so sure. He was like looking to freak me out.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
So.
And so I really believe that he was. And I'm extremely skeptical.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even care if it's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally.
Well,
but listen, I like seeing you on there, Ashley.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, tell him to contact James Randi.
Right.
So.
And that's the thing. When you just met someone for a split second like that and they're gone, you don't know their background. For all you know, they are an obstetrician or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know the guy. So I can't really make a judgment on that.
Okay. Well, we will go to Lee and see if he knows what's going on. How you doing?
Hi, very good.
Hi.
Yeah, I find it very interesting how people are born with a desire to know where they come from and to find a purpose in life.
Yeah.
Oh, we're purpose machines. We have to know purpose to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what would be your best explanation of why people have this thirst for a revelation of the source and purpose of life?
Well, actually, I meant that literally. Human beings are purpose machines. We are the animals that we take nature around us and we create things to help our survival, and those things that we create have to have purpose. Each thing performs its function. And then we end up applying that to ourselves. What's our purpose?
Okay.
So again,
I think it's very natural.
Yeah, we're kind of looking for things that aren't there. You're assuming that we have some kind of purpose in this world that is outside of us, but that's not really the case. My purpose in the world, my reason for getting up in the morning, essentially, is because of friends and family. Because of the people that I love, the things that I do. I enjoy work. I enjoy, hanging out with friends, stuff like that. that is what gives my life meaning and purpose. There is no, power or authority over me that's saying, the reason you were born is so that you can grow up and be a senator or whatever. And so, I give my life meaning and purpose.
A thinking mind can't not have purpose, because, what would you do after you get up in the morning with no purpose?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but as far as the source of life, it seems as if people usually look towards the external to explain the source of life. And why would we have this desire to go towards the external whenever we usually want to? We want things for ourselves.
I'm not so sure I have that desire. I'm not sure exactly what you're describing.
What I was saying earlier is that, we design things, we make things, we give things purpose. We build a table to sit things on, and it has a purpose that we gave it. Therefore, again, when we apply that question to ourselves, well, something must have given us purpose. Something outside of ourselves, some God, must have given us a purpose. And what would that be? That's not really true. We were not planned, except possibly by our parents. But outside of that, there's no, godly power that has a plan for my life.
Right, and I think it's no mystery why we would think that's the case, because it just seems logical, but it's wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Okay. All right, we have got Jack. How you doing? Are you there? Okay. Is that Madeline?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We got the lines mixed up.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Jack's going, hello.
Sorry about that.
When you get a dictionary, look up the word Necessitarianism.
Necessitarianism?
It's short. The doctrine that all events, including acts of the will, are determined by antecedent causes. Okay. And there's another dictionary that says there's no such thing as a free will.
Okay. So is that kind of like the first cause argument, as in everything has a cause?
Yeah, but
and so what was the initial cause?
This is in your dictionary, and it'll be a little different in different dictionaries, but everybody can look it up. Necessitarianism.
Okay, but again, from my understanding, what you're saying is that's, again, the first cause. Everything has a cause, and so therefore there must be an initial first cause.
Right.
How far back are you going? Are you saying that, there must have been a first cause, and therefore we'll call that God?
No.
Okay.
No, this is practical.
Is it just, look something up in the dictionary?
Yeah, no, that's a cool word. It sounds cool.
Necessitarianism.
Necessitarianism.
Okay.
Sounds like a good word to know.
All right. Okay, I'm going to have to practice that one. Okay. All right. We got about 7 minutes left. Take our last couple of callers here. We're going to go Jack. Okay, that was not Jack.
Or he does a really good imitation of an alto.
Yes, either one. Okay, but yeah, phone number 477-2288. Give us a call in the last couple minutes, and let's see what you got to say. We have somebody holding on the line right now. We'll get to them in just a minute. Let's see. What is the last coin that you have there, actually?
The reason I brought this is real. This is a 5-ounce Liberty. It's a 50 piece. The only reason I brought it is I thought maybe the smaller one wouldn't get on camera. Okay, it might be too small or too shiny.
Okay, so that's a $50 piece.
Right. Now, it is a commemorative. It's not very practical for spending because it will not fit in a cash register. No, I'd be happy to spend it if I had more than one. Yeah. I'm hanging on to this. These are actually more rare. They're not meant to be spent. The $10 Liberties are meant to be used as a currency.
Really?
There's also a 5 and a 1 piece. Yeah. The 1 piece, because it's amazing. You can see how much inflation there is, because the $1 Liberties, look how tiny that is. The size of a dime.
Oh, that is a $1 Liberty.
But it's solid silver. Yeah.
Wow.
It's too small to.
It's almost like toy money. It
says "In God We Trust." Itty-bitty on there.
Okay, we have, let's see, Levi. that you?
Hi, how are you doing?
How you doing?
I'd like to talk about who's really running the world right now.
Okay.
Have you heard of Freemasonry?
Heard of them, yes.
I've heard of it.
Do you know what they do?
Not all that much now.
Do you remember the Crusades?
Yes.
Well, I know personally.
Wasn't there personally,
yeah, I know the background of that. Yes.
The religious Crusades.
Yes.
And did you know about what Freemasonry was back then?
No, I never heard of it being that ancient. But.
No, it dated back that far, and back then it was a secret society, and during that time, after the Crusades, they outlawed secret societies because of it.
Okay.
Before the Crusades, they started feeding both sides of the war. They fed both sides by starting rebellious groups and then starting groups to fight those groups.
On a New World Order.
Yes. Okay. After the Crusades, they had a bunch of money gained off of selling weapons to both sides of the war.
Okay.
And then they got rid of it. They said you can't have secret societies anymore, so they got rid of it, but they just didn't show it to the public anymore.
And is there any documented...
It kept continuing and growing, and it spread throughout other countries.
Yeah. Is there any documented evidence of, Freemasons and their interactions or anything like that? Well,
they have one inside of the White House.
Okay, again, do we have any evidence of this?
Have you heard of Freemasonry?
Okay, your buddy ruined it for you, sorry.
Or was that him yelling at his buddy?
Maybe, who knows, But yeah, we have heard a little bit on the Freemasons and all the conspiracies, the Illuminati, that, presidents are sacrificing babies into the fire to get their presidency and whatnot. And
well, let's see, there's a pyramid with an eye on this. I know that a lot of people have some ideas on that. I'll have to look more into that. But yeah, I'm kind of skeptical of secret societies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those...
What do we know about them?
A lot of those start in colleges. And, I mean, like, say, a whole bunch of frat guys getting together around around a keg and saying that they're a secret society.
Oh, I guess Bush was.
Doesn't really scare me all that much.
I guess Bush is in this.
He may be, but but anyway.
Involved beer.
So, okay, we have got about 3 minutes left. Time for one more quick call if we can get a name on that, possibly. But otherwise, like I say, we have meetings every week for any atheist friendlies out there. Atheist agnostics want to come down and meet some other people at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop every Sunday at 10:30. And like I say, we just get together and just talk shop, basically. It's usually atheism actually doesn't come up very much. It's just a whole bunch of people getting together and just being social and knowing that you're not going to be judged for not believing in God or anything like that. So, okay, we have got Joyce on line 1. How you doing?
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing that, Levi, you're the man, and FBU.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Like I say, apparently that lifeless person out there can't even get the whole phrase out anymore. Now they've got to create an acronym for it. Acronyms are getting a little bit too common. So anyway, we thank everybody for tuning in and watching the show. Thank you, Arlo, for coming back and being on.
Thank you.
Talking about In God We Trust on our money. As I said, we will be back next week, every Sunday, Channel 10, 4:30. And let's see, do we have any last-minute items to go over?
Probably not.
I'm trying to think of any news. I don't think there was any. Like I say, we have the meeting in 2 weeks. Dr. Solomon is coming in talking about philosophy, spirituality, and atheism. And like I say, the last couple lectures that we've had, not by him personally, but by other people, have been excellent. And so it's definitely worth coming out. And that's going to be at the History Center at 12:30 on 9th and Guadalupe. Like I say, we have our normal meetings every Sunday. Come down and see us down there sometime, but it's not a place to come down and try and convert us. Like I say, it's only for atheists and atheist-friendly people. We just sit down, talk, joke around, and have a good old time. Okay, like I say, that is it for the show. Thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, theists, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and Thanksgiving is coming up. Remember that, be thankful to your friends and your family and everything like that.
Give homage to the show.